Dr. I'm so excited to introduce our our second speaker of the day, Dr. Lakina Mosley. Dr. Mosley is a health education scholar and educator with experience teaching in higher education, graduate programs, and secondary education. She holds a doctorate in health education and has taught courses in public health, kinesiology, sports medicine, and wellness focused curricula across online and in person learning environments. Her teaching approach emphasizes clarity, accessibility, and student confidence, particularly for non traditional and adult learners. Dr. Mosley integrates artificial intelligence as a supportive instructional tool to enhance feedback quality, streamline assessment workflows, and improve student comprehension while maintaining strong ethical and human centered teaching practices. She is also the founder of Destination Fitness Incorporated, where she develops educational resources that translate complex scientific concepts into practical, learner-friendly tools. Her work focuses on bridging theory and application, supporting behavior change, and fostering student engagement through thoughtful instruction design. Dr. Mosley is passionate about responsible AI use that strengthens educator presence, promotes equity, and supports sustainable teaching practices in evolving digital learning environments. Let's welcome our honored guest, Dr. Lakina Mosley.
Thank you so much. That was a very warm welcome. First, let me start by saying good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Today, we are going to talk about artificial intelligence in higher education, but not in a sensational way, not in a panic-driven way, and not in a purely technological way. We are going to talk about it through a human-centered lens. Artificial intelligence is already embedded into our students' lives. Many of them are using AI tools, whether we formally acknowledge it or not. So the real question is not whether AI belongs in higher education. The real question is how we are going to integrate it in ways that preserve rigor, integrity, equity, and the educator's central role. So this session is about thoughtful integration. It is about positioning AI as a tool that enhances teaching rather than replacing it. And it is about ensuring that our professional judgment remains at the center of learning. So before we talk about the tools or strategies, we need to ground this conversation in context. AI did not enter higher education quietly. It arrived very, very quickly and publicly, creating both anxiety as well as excitement. So in this section, I want to frame where we are, why this moment matters, and how we can approach it thoughtfully rather than reactively. Artificial intelligence is advancing at a pace that outstrips institutional policy. That creates tension. Faculty often feel as though the tools are evolving faster than guidance can be developed. At the same time, student expectations are shifting. Many of our students have grown up in highly digital environments. They expect technology to be part of their learning experience. But here's the critical part. If we integrate AI without deliberate planning, we risk widening equity gaps. Not all students have equal access to devices, subscriptions, or digital literacy. So the question becomes not just how we use AI, but how we use it responsibly. And finally, faculty need support, not mandates, not fear-based messaging, but practical frameworks. And that is what this session is designed to provide. Whenever a disruptive technology enters into education, fear is natural. We worry about academic integrity. We worry about student dependency. We also worry about whether critical thinking will decline. Some even worry about job displacement, and these concerns are definitely understandable. But alongside those fears, there are genuine opportunities. AI can support personalized learning at scale. It can help faculty provide more timely feedback. It can provide or improve accessibility features for students who have disabilities. So the tension that we feel right now is not unusual. Historically, education has always adapted to new technologies, and the differences now is with speed. So our response must be intentional rather than reactive. Before we go any further, I want to understand the room. Real quick, how many of you are not using AI tools as of yet? How many of you are cautiously experimenting? How many of you are regularly integrating AI into your workflow? So if you are not using AI tools at all, can you give me a thumbs up if possible? If you are using AI cautiously and you are experimenting with it, can you give me a heart or whatever other emoji you can come up with? If you are regularly integrating AI into your workflow, can we see a hand clap or something of that matter? Okay, so the spectrum matters because integration is not binary, it is developmental. And no matter where you are on that spectrum, the goal is the same, and that is to align AI with pedagogy. There is no judgment here, only reflection, because thoughtful integration begins with awareness. Human-centered AI begins with pedagogy, not tools. Learning objectives drive technology decisions, not the reverse. It also preserves faculty autonomy. AI may assist, but it does not override professional judgment. The educator remains the decision maker. It is student centered. That means that we consider how AI affects different learning styles, different preparation levels, and different access realities. It is transparent. Students know when AI is used as well as how. And finally, it operates with an ethical framework that includes equity, privacy, as well as academic integrity. So this is not about efficiency alone, it's about alignment. AI is not a replacement for teaching. It cannot replicate relational trust. It cannot replicate mentorship. It cannot replicate the moment when you notice confusion in a student's expression and you adjust your explanation in real time. It is not surveillance technology. Over reliance on AI detection tools can create adversarial learning environments. It is not a shortcut to quality. AI generated context must still be critically evaluated and customized. And it is certainly not a one size fits all approach. Different disciplines require different approaches. A writing intensive humanities course may use AI differently than an engineering course would. So clarifying what is not protects what we value. At the center of all of this is you. Faculty design authentic learning experiences. So faculty build rapport, faculty contextualize knowledge with disciplinary frameworks. AI can assist with time-intensive tasks. It can help with drafting rubrics. It can help with generating initial feedback structure, but it cannot replace professional discernment. When AI handles administrative or repetitive cognitive tasks, it creates space. And that space is for mentorship or space for deeper discussion, space for higher level thinking. Technology augments rather than replaces the essential work of teaching, creating space for deeper engagement with students and more sophisticated pedagogical approaches. It does not replicate or replace it. If we remember that we are still and we will remain in control, that's what we need to remember. Now that we have grounded ourselves in philosophy and framing, let's move into practice. So, what does human centered AI actually look like in real classrooms? In this section, I'm going to walk through practical examples that you can implement while still preserving rigor as well as instructional integrity. One of the most powerful uses of AI in higher education is lesson design. So let me be very clear. AI should not replace instructional design. It should accelerate early stage development. For example, when you are brainstorming activities aligned with learning objectives, AI can help to generate multiple structured options within seconds. That does not mean that you adopt them wholesale or wholesale. It means that you start with a broader menu of possibilities. AI can help to scaffold complex concepts. You can prompt it to generate a progressive learning sequence, beginning with foundational definitions, moving toward applied case analysis, and culminating in synthesis or evaluation tasks. It can assist in curating multimedia resources. Rather than spending hours searching for supplemental materials, you can ask AI to identify peer-reviewed articles, recent data sets, or discipline-specific examples. But the key principle remains this: everything must be customized. AI provides a starting structure, but you provide the expertise, the context, as well as the nuance. Used correctly, it can definitely reduce the cognitive load without reducing rigor. Differentiation has always been one of the most intensive aspects of teaching. The key is maintaining consistent learning objectives while varying the pathways students take to achieve them. AI can support differentiation in powerful ways. For example, you can generate reading materials at multiple complexity levels. The core concept remains the same, but the language, depth, or framing can be adjusted for varied preparation levels. You can create varied practice problems that offer different entry points into the same concept. That is particularly useful in quantitative or technical disciplines. For English language learners, AI can provide simplified explanations or multilingual glossaries that support comprehension. The critical thing here is that differentiation does not mean lowering standards. It just means varying the pathways while maintaining consistent learning objectives. AI always allows us to serve heterogeneous classrooms more effectively without exponentially increasing preparation time. Assessment alignment is often overlooked, but it is a central part to academic rigor. AI can assist in drafting rubric structures when you input your learning outcomes and your assignment description. For example, if your learning outcome emphasizes critical analysis, AI can suggest rubric dimensions that specifically measure argument strength, evidence integration, as well as synthesis. However, you must refine those criteria to match disciplinary standards. AI does not understand the subtle distinctions between novice, developing, and advanced performance in your field the way that you do. So, one powerful use is alignment verification. You can ask AI to analyze whether each rubric criterion directly maps back to a stated learning objective. That can reveal gaps or redundancies. Finally, AI can help generate a student-facing version of your rubric in clearer, more accessible language that improves transparency as well as reduces ambiguity. This is a support tool, not a substitute for academic judgment. Authentic case studies are incredibly powerful, but they are time intensive to create. AI can generate discipline-specific scenarios that incorporate current events, ethical dilemmas, or complex real-world variables. For example, in a business course, AI can draft a case involving supply chain disruption as well as ethical sourcing. In healthcare, it might generate a scenario about patient autonomy and emerging technology. Refine cases to ensure that they challenge students appropriately and connect to course themes, and guiding questions that help to promote higher order thinking rather than simple recall. You must, of course, verify factual accuracy. You must review for cultural sensitivity. You must ensure that the complexity level matches your students' preparation. AI can also generate guiding questions aligned with higher order thinking, such as analysis, evaluation, and synthesis, rather than recall. Used well, this tool can significantly expand the authenticity of applied learning without sacrificing depth. So we've explored individual use cases like lesson design and differentiation, but using AI occasionally is different from integrating it intentionally. Now we're going to shift from tools to systems. So how do we design workflows, especially around feedback, that preserves our voice while improving efficiency? When we look at the research, feedback consistently emerges as one of the most powerful influences on student learning. So Hattie and Temperley's work makes this very clear. Feedback matters a lot. But here's the structural reality in higher education. Faculty are overwhelmed. I'm going to say that again. Faculty are overwhelmed. Grading demands are heavy, especially in larger courses. So providing detailed, thoughtful, individualized feedback takes significant time. And I know we all know that. And time is the one resource that most instructors do not have enough of. At this same time, students consistently tell us that timely and specific feedback helps to improve their learning. Nicole and McFarland remind us that feedback only supports self-regulation when students can actually use it to improve the next piece of the work. If the feedback arrives too late, the learning opportunity is reduced. So we end up with a little bit of tension. Faculty capacity is limited, student need is high, and the gap between those two creates frustration on both sides. So this is where the conversation about AI becomes important. AI assisted feedback is not about replacing faculty expertise or voice. It's not about outsourcing thinking. It's about reducing the time burden of drafting repetitive structural comments so that instructors can invest their energy where it matters most, in higher learning or higher level insight, mentoring, and personalization. When used intentionally and ethically, AI can help us to address the feedback bottleneck that in a way that helps to strengthen pedagogy rather than weakening it. So let's walk through a structured model here. A student will, let's say, submit an assignment with rubric criteria visible. AI then analyzes the submission against the rubric dimensions and generates an initial draft highlighting some of the strengths as well as some of the growth areas. Then the faculty reviews it. You verify the accuracy, you personalize the tone, you add specificity drawn directly from the student's work. You contextualize feedback within prior performance. Finally, the student receives timely, specific actionable guidance. So this model typically reduces feedback drafting time significantly while maintaining quality. The key distinction in this is that AI drafts the structure, but faculty delivers the mentorship. And that balance helps to preserve trust as well as expertise. Human refinement is where your expertise is irreplaceable. First, verify accuracy. AI can definitely misinterpret nuance. Second, add specificity. Reference direct quotes or examples from the student submission. Third, personalized tone. The way you speak to a first year undergraduate differs from the way that you are going to speak to a graduate student. Fourth, connect feedback to growth, tie current performance to previous work as well as future goals. And finally, ensure clarity. Recommendations must be actionable, not abstract. This refinement step helps to ensure that feedback reflects professional judgment rather than algorithmic generalizations. The result is more timely feedback that still feels human. Whenever new technology enters education, policy questions follow. This is where concerns about academic integrity surface most strongly. So let's address that directly. How do we protect rigor and responsibility without defaulting to surveillance and fear-based responses? AI capabilities require us to reconsider assessment design. Traditional essay prompts that ask students to summarize information are easily generated by AI. Multiple choice tests are searchable. Generic research papers can be drafted by language models. Instead of fighting this reality, we help to redesign it. Reflective analysis rooted in personal experience is far more difficult to outsource. Discipline-specific case applications require contextual understanding. Process documentation and metacognitive journals help to reveal thinking patterns. Presentations with real-time questions and answers help to demonstrate authentic comprehension. The goal is not to eliminate AI from student workflows. The goal is to design assessments where AI becomes a support tool rather than a shortcut around learning. And this shifts help to preserve rigor while adapting to technological reality. When faculty do not clearly define expectations around AI, students fill in the gaps themselves, and ambiguity creates anxiety. Transparent AI policies are not about restriction, they are about clarity. Students need to know what is acceptable, what is not, and why. Instead of using a blanket statement that says AI is prohibited, consider assignment specific guidance. For example, you might allow, let's say, AI for brainstorming, but prohibit it from final written synthesis. Requiring students to disclose how they use AI also helps to encourage metacognition. It shifts the conversation from hiding the tool use to reflecting on the tool use. And when we explain the pedagogy behind our policies, students understand that the goal is learning and not policing. And transparency, of course, builds trust, and trust supports integrity. The detection mindset assumes that dishonesty is first. That's what the detection-based approach is. Whereas the educational mindset assumes capability first. Detection software may provide a sense of control, but it often creates adversarial dynamics. Students begin trying to outsmart systems rather than to deepen understanding. Research consistently shows that environments that are grounded in trust, clear communication, and meaningful work produce stronger integrity outcomes rather than surveillance heavy environments. When we teach students how to use AI responsibly, we prepare them for professional environments where AI is going to be present. Our responsibility is not to eliminate AI exposure, it is to help guide its ethical use. And that shift from policing to educating is foundational. So, policy alone is not enough. We must also ask who benefits and who might be left behind. AI integration has the potential to widen gaps if we are not intentional. In this section, we'll look at access, bias, and how thoughtful implementation can actually support our most vulnerable learners. Technology does not impact all students equally. If AI tools become required for course success, then institutions must consider access. Not every student has high speed internet access at home. Not every student has premium tool subscriptions. Digital literacy also varies. We cannot assume that because a student is young that they are technologically fluent in academic context. If we are going to integrate AI, we must design multiple pathways to demonstrate learning. No student should be disadvantaged because they lack access to the advanced tools. Equity must be built into implementation decisions from the very beginning, not addressed after the problem emerges. AI systems are trained on historical data. Historical data contains bias. So that means that AI outputs can reflect cultural assumptions, dominant dialects, or underrepresentation of marginalized groups. If we use AI to generate case studies, examples, or explanations, we must critically evaluate them before sharing them with the students. This also presents a teaching opportunity. We can help students to recognize that AI outputs are not neutral and that they can reflect patterns present in training data. So, encouraging students to question and critique AI output actually helps to strengthen critical thinking rather than weakening it. Equity requires vigilance. When implemented thoughtfully, AI can act as scaffolding. First generation students can lack implicit knowledge about academic conventions. AI tools can help them brainstorm, organize ideas, and understand expectations. Students struggling with reading comprehension can also use AI to summarize complex texts or generate study questions. So students overwhelmed by large projects can help to use AI to break tasks into manageable steps. The key is teaching students how to use these supports responsibly rather than allowing them to completely depend on them. So we want to teach them how to use this as a support thing for them. When guided well, AI can help to reduce barriers and increase confidence for students who might otherwise disengage. This is where equity and innovation intersect. So we've covered philosophy, application, integrity, and equity. So the next question is practical. What do we actually do next semester or for our next course? Implementation does not require transformation overnight. It requires strategic experimentation and reflection. So we kind of experiment and then we see what works and what doesn't. So at the top of this, we understand that faculty burnout is real. And I'll say that again, faculty burnout is real. If AI integration feels overwhelming, Then start small. Choose one course, one assignment, one workflow. Experiment in a low stakes environment. Beginning with low stakes experiments allows you to develop confidence as well as confidence before making larger commitments. Document what works and notice what does not. This helps to reduce risk. It helps to reduce anxiety. It increases competence gradually. Innovation does not require transformation overnight. It requires thoughtful iteration. Before adopting any tool broadly, align it with a specific need. You're going to identify a pain point. Perhaps grading consumes excessive time. Perhaps students struggle with brainstorming. Research 2 or 3 tools, test them yourself first, then design clear expectations before introducing the tool to the students. Finally, gather feedback, ask students what helped, what confused them, what improved their learning. Intentional piloting prevents reactive implementation. Technology for its own sake is noise. After using AI in a course, ask yourself, did it improve the learning outcomes? Did it enhance engagement? Did it save meaningful time that allowed for higher impact interactions? Were there unintended equity concerns? If the answer is no, then refine or abandon the tool. Human-centered AI requires continuous reflection. Based on these reflections, refine your approach, abandon tools that don't serve learning, and scale practices that demonstrate clear benefits. We remain the decision makers throughout this whole process. As we close, I want to bring us back to the most important principle in this entire conversation. Technology evolves, tools change, but the educator remains central. So let's reflect on how we move forward in ways that help to strengthen rather than diminish our professional role. I want to make something very clear. Technology cannot replicate what you do in a classroom. It cannot. AI cannot build trust with a struggling student. It cannot read a room and sense confusion. It cannot adapt mid-sentence when a concept does not land. It cannot mentor, inspire, or model professional identity in real time. Those elements of teaching remain deeply human. AI can assist with drafting, structuring, organizing, and even suggesting, but judgment, empathy, contextual expertise, and ethical reasoning remain yours. When positioned correctly, AI becomes a teaching assistant, not a teacher replacement. It amplifies faculty effectiveness rather than threatening our essential role in student success. And the distinction between these two roles is where your authority remains secure. If you remember nothing else from today, I want you to remember these 5 principles. First, pedagogy drives technology. We do not adopt tools because they are impressive. We adopt them because they serve learning objectives. Second, faculty judgment is essential. AI augments, it does not override. Third, transparency builds trust. Clear communication reduces anxiety and supports integrity. Fourth, equity must be centered. Access and bias cannot be afterthoughts. And finally, start small and iterate. Sustainable innovation begins with thoughtful experimentation. So, keeping these principles helps to keep us grounded. I want to leave you with a question rather than a directive. What is one concrete way that you can use AI to better serve your students' learning while maintaining your pedagogical values? Not five changes, not institutional overhaul, just one thoughtful experiment. So maybe it's drafting an initial rubric language. Maybe it is scaffolding a complex concept. Maybe it is piloting AI assisted feedback in one assignment. Small intentional steps compound over time. So consider also sharing your idea with a colleague. Collaborative exploration of AI integration helps to create opportunities for peer learning as well as mutual support as we kind of navigate this evolving landscape together. Innovation grows faster in community. The ideas that are presented here are informed by emerging research in AI literacy, academic integrity, educational technology, and equity centered design. This is an evolving field and the literature grows rapidly. So I encourage you to explore these sources and continue engaging critically with new research as it continues to develop. We are in a moment of active construction that requires scholarly engagement, not technological experimentation, or not just technological experimentation. So keep reading, keep questioning, keep refining. And here are just a few scholarly sources that are informing human centered AI approaches in higher education. Human centered AI is not a solo endeavor. So connect with colleagues who are experimenting thoughtfully. Share what works, share what doesn't. Participate in faculty learning communities. Engage with your teaching and learning center. This is not just about becoming a technology expert overnight. It is about becoming an intentional practitioner in a changing landscape. Collective reflection strengthens institutional response. So, as we navigate AI's role in education together, your professional judgment and pedagogical expertise remains the foundation of meaningful learning experiences. Finally, here are some practical resources to support your next step. So, policy templates can help clarify expectations. Faculty development modules can help to strengthen AI literacy. Students facing AI literacy materials can help students understand appropriate use, and adding authentic assessment examples can help to inspire redesign. You do not have to navigate this alone. So, support structures exist and use them. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Mosley. That was a wonderful presentation. Lots of good information there. Great information. So, does anybody have any questions for Dr. Mosley? Feel free to type them in the chat or you can unmute and ask. Thinking maybe you covered it all.
Well, that's good. I hope so.
Yep, I think you did. I think you did.
Daisha, you have a question? I see a hand up. Oh, okay. She says thank you. All right.
All right. Well, I guess if nobody has any questions for you, we'll just go ahead and stop the recording and close it out. Thank you so much again. We really enjoyed it.
Ah,
That was great.
hey, Kim, there's a question in the chat.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Do you think faculty use of AI should be a mix of 70% faculty versus 30% AI?
I personally think that you use whatever works best for you. I personally find that grading and giving substantial feedback is what really I used to struggle with, was that because, if I have a student or if I have a class and I have 25 students in that class and they're doing, let's say, a 7-page paper, and trying to provide timely feedback for those students, it can become extremely overwhelming. And so I believe that you use whatever works best for you. So in that particular process, it might be a 70-30 in that particular class, but it may be less in another class, depending on what the actual assignments are or what we're looking to do. So I think that's it. Or if we're trying to, for example, engage more in class discussion and we're trying to get the students to engage more, I could possibly use AI to formulate questions centered around current events and things like that related to public health. So it just depends. So he says I use 80-20. Yeah. So I guess it just depends, as long, like Wendy said, as long as it's meaningful, and it definitely has to be meaningful. It shouldn't be something that's just simple and, remembering things. It should be something that, helps them to further the conversation or further their learning.
All right. Any more questions? Just reading over the chat here real quick.
He said, I've got my work cut out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here to help if anybody has any questions or anything like that, or if you are, curious as to how I use it to assist with grading. Again, AI is a wonderful tool, but it only works based on how you use it. It can only do what you tell it to do. So that's the one thing that I've learned and improved on over, the few years that it's been out, is learning how to ask the right question. And what I actually realized is that AI will tell you how to ask the question based on what you're looking for. So it's pretty much a learning experience. It's trial and error. You play around with it and you see what works. And if it gives you the output, and the output is not specifically what you're looking for, you can go back and tell it, redo it. I want it in second person. I want it to sound in my tone. I want it to sound as if I'm talking to a colleague or whatever. You literally tell it what to do, and then it, generates a prompt for you. It can be, it's exciting. It's very, very exciting, but it can only do what you tell it to do. It can only do it to the level that you want it to do it to, if that makes sense. I'm hungry, so my word. Hope that made sense.
It did. It did.
Okay.
Helps me. I need to go in there and play with it more.
Yeah, you'd be surprised all of the stuff that you can do with AI. It's amazing. The type, I'm excited. I'm also one of those technological. I'm a nerd. I'm proud to say that I'm a nerd, and I'm up pretty much on all the latest stuff because I'm so interested in it. And plus, that's the way that we're moving, and I don't want to be left behind. But I really
Right.
enjoy. That's right. Nerds are awesome. Yes,
And
we
I
are.
can tell you're excited about it, and that's great.
I am.
That's great.
It's so exciting. They have AI that you can make songs, that you can hum a tune and it will play the song for you based on the tune that you hummed and the musical instrument that you wanted to play it. It's so exciting. It's so much, but it's really good. It's really good.
Well, we sure enjoyed this presentation so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll go ahead and close it out unless anybody has. Let's see, Wendy says, my husband made a song for me a couple of years back and I was blown away.
Yep.
Yep, that's pretty cool. not an AI response. All right. Well, thank you again. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. And everybody have a great day.
Thank you. You do the same.
All right. Bye bye.